Alright, so the forecast continues to increase Philly's odds for Sunday. Because whether you believe in playoff Stafford or not, there's a few stats that point to the Rams falling short this weekend. However, why is Sean McVay confident that will change against Vic Fangio, and will he exploit the Birds' new linebacker? Meanwhile, if there's any area that could distract the Eagles, it's what's happening with Kellen Moore. So let's talk about that, what Jalen Hurts had to say to the doubters, and more of a reason to go all in on Saquon. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Man, I don't know about you, but I am crazy hyped for this game on Sunday. So do me a favor and drop a like on this video, because if the video gets 3,000 likes, I'm going to give away this signed Jalen Hurts helmet to one subscriber who tells me what they're the most confident in on the game on Sunday. Like, here the Eagles are, only 2 games away from the big one. Although, yeah, no one's getting carried away because the Rams are no joke. It's just that, like several writers and media members have put out there, Saquon Barkley is a nightmare for the Rams. Because we all remember what he did in the first matchup.
Season. What a player.
Look, we've talked about this in the live streams recently, but the Rams defense has been much better. However, there's a massive mismatch when it comes to the LA D-line versus the Birds O-line. Seriously, when it comes to getting after the quarterback, Chris Shula's squad has been really effective lately, thanks to an emphasis on shooting the gaps, using speed over size, and having a fast-flowing linebacker going downhill. But here's the reason it's the biggest mismatch. Not because you have Saquon Barkley, not because you have the biggest O-line, not because just the skill players. It's that the Eagles run a lot of zone and gap schemes in the ground game. Translation, you get those fast, speedy guys to overcommit, and then you use that aggressiveness against them to pick up big-time yards on the ground. FYI, for those that weren't aware, the Rams have given up the 3rd most yards per game on gap scheme runs. So yeah, that makes it even worse for their 23rd ranked run defense. Of course, then the counter-argument to that is, well, what if they just sell out to stop the run, except we've seen a lot of teams or heard a lot of teams say they're going to do that.
I don't think that there's been a game where he's been taken away.
Right, but they tried to.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
They try, you know.
Exactly, they've tried, but the Eagles are not going to go away from that, which is why I've got the best lock for you of the NFL weekend on Underdog. So, as the official sponsor of the channel, you can get a special pick in the lobby along with $1,000 bonus cash when you scan the QR code or use my code PHILLYSPECIAL. Now, here's the best play that I was talking about. I was scrolling through the Underdog app as I regularly do to just, kill some time, see what the odds are and everything there. But I noticed Saquon's carry total at 20.5, which is absolutely absurd. Think about this. Saquon's had 29, 31, and 25 carries over his last 3 games. And now he's got a game that the weather forecast says will be in the low 30s with 15-mile-per-hour winds and a 70% chance of snow. Plus, the dude's gone over this line 8 of his last 11 games. And considering the LA run defense like we talked about, there's no way the Eagles shy away from the ground game. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but this is one of those lines that's going to jump up quick. So here's what you do. Sign up via the link in the description, use my code PHILLYSPECIAL, because right now through the playoffs, Underdog is offering some of their best promos of the season. For example, I paired my Saquon pick with a Josh Allen discounted play, but the options are really endless. Anyway, I don't normally share my picks this early because I'm taking time to get it for the weekend, but I figured this is one that is too good to pass up on. So again, scan the QR code, use code PHILLYSPECIAL, or just click the link in the description and you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Alright, I know some of you will probably say, well, technically Saquon was limited against the Steelers. However, that was also against a top 5 defense versus the run at the time. So again, the Rams don't have the same quality up front, and it may be without a crucial piece, especially when you think about their lack of size. As nose tackle Bobby Brown missed practice on Wednesday with a shoulder injury and is resting to try to get back in time. But if he doesn't play, like I mentioned, he's one of the only notable guys with size. 6'4", 325, the Rams don't have many of those types of players. Now, there's also left tackle Alaric Johnson, who missed the first practice of the week, as well as tight end Tyler Higbee, who's become an even more vital piece of their offense, dealing with a chest injury also. Granted, all signs are pointing toward him playing. Of course, the Birds have some slight injuries as well, but it's sounding like A.J. Brown, who rested Wednesday and then ended up practicing today, is working his way closer to 100%.
I felt fine after the game. Came out clean and just how the part playing. I'll be out there tomorrow. So.
Did you feel like yourself out there on Sunday, or did you feel like the knee impacted you at all?
No, I was fine, moving around fine. I was open. And, I was cool.
Okay, the best part is that just about everyone on the Eagles are healthy. Yes, I know we lost Nakobe Dean, but you have to consider the players that will be available. You had a few getting rest days on Wednesday, but ultimately it's just about as full strength as you can be. For the record, Dallas Goedert did miss practice today due to an illness, but there isn't any concern that impacts him from not playing Sunday. I mean, realistically, it's just a replacement of Nakobe Dean that Philly has to overcome, which is not a small one, but as we know and have heard, it's just the next man up mentality. And Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is ready.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, I'm ready. Prepared every single week, kind of like I was going to start. I try to make sure I'm always on top of on top of what I need to do as far as mentally and preparation-wise, and I just try to look up to, the veterans and see how they prepare as well. And, that's really all you can do. I just have full faith in God, that he'll be with me and just guide me out there on the field.
Who have been some of the guys you've kind of leaned on this year? Your dad was playing playoff games at the Link. But what does it mean to you? What's it like playing a playoff game at the Link, wearing that jersey, and playing for the Eagles?
No, it definitely means a lot. I've been watching the Eagles ever since I was a kid. I was around the facility, around the people here that are still here now. And being able to, put on the jersey is definitely a great feeling. It's going to be a different point of view. I guess I've already experienced it by now, but it's definitely something that's surreal. Playing for your hometown team and just already being a fan of the team. So I want to win just as much as the fans want us to win. So I just try to make sure I do everything I can to make sure that, I do my part.
Yeah, Troy's definitely ready.
How do you know that?
Because I'm practicing with him. I'm playing with him. Yeah, he's been ready for a long time now. He's really excited, and I'm excited for him and Oren.
I should mention that we don't 100% know who's going to start at that position, but Vic Fangio made it just about as obvious as you can that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. will be starting there. And it makes sense for a couple reasons. Because in case you don't recall, both Oren, Burks, and Trot played some snaps against the Rams. Granted, they were limited snaps in Week 12, but even in the last matchup, the Rook showed some promise in coverage. Like Anthony DeBona pointed out, on one play, Trotter made up for Burks' mistake to tackle Nakua on a limited gain. And then on the next play, he broke up a pass to force an incompletion to the tight end. Look, it's definitely one of the biggest chess matches to watch in the game, but ultimately, I think the Eagles will be fine. First off, because Fangio has proven he can game up any type of scheme to beat opposing offenses. And remember how we used to always say if the Eagles face a strong quarterback, they're going to get carved up? Well, that hasn't been the case as we know all year. Fangio's unit shut down Green Bay's Jordan Love, one of the best quarterbacks of the season, Joe Burrow. I'd also argue Jaden Daniels twice because Hurts got injured in one of those matchups and it was looking really strong before he went out. And then Matthew Stafford had one of his least efficient games, as well as beating the potential league MVP Lamar Jackson, who was an extremely limited threat. Of course, surprisingly, I've had a few Rams fans hop into the comments and throw out there, hey, but playoff Stafford, he's 5-1 in LA, at least, in the playoffs. But while that may be true, you got to look at the conditions of the game this weekend. Because in case you didn't know, in games outdoors that have been 40 degrees or colder, Stafford with the Rams is just 1-2 in his career with 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a meager 59% completion in those games. And then when you add any sort of precipitation like rain or snow, Stafford's record drops to 2-8 all-time in his career with a 54% completion percentage and a 76 passer rating.
Not great, Bob.
By the way, his last win in the rain came this season, so you could say, maybe he's bucking that trend. Except that was one of the worst games in recent history, with LA winning by a score of 12-6 over the 49ers thanks to 4 field goals from Josh Carty. So yeah, again, definitely a good sign for the Birds. Although when it comes to some of those struggles, and in particular overcoming Fangio's defense, Sean McVay's confident that'll help them get the dub this weekend.
And that humbling night, when you have the right people, it's just like I've told you guys, Adam, I think a lot of the scars that we've had as a team have been what led us to the point that we're at. And, I know the greatest growth opportunities that have ever taken part, with myself in particular, are when it's the most challenging times and you're thinking, man, I don't like this at all. And you look back on it and you say, I can't imagine where you would be without some of those adverse times. And I think that was one of those nights that because we have the right people, the response was in alignment with what we want. I also think there's a respect and an understanding of what's going to be required if we want to continue to earn some more time. And what a great challenge. We love it.
Okay, I get it. And I think all of us understand LA's not just going to show up and lay down. Still, I do want to take time and address some of the comments from you guys saying, it's a little bit anxious or scary to have a rematch from a team we played earlier this season. Most notably because several of you brought up the example when the Eagles blew out the Arizona Cardinals in 2008 during the regular season, thanks to a quick start on offense and 4 takeaways from the defense where Philly won at the Link 48-20. Only to then, sadly, turn around and play that same team in the NFC Championship game and lose 32-25. However, the Eagles weren't the number 1 defense in the NFL that season. Sure, they were good, just not the same level of this year's squad. Plus, the offense had several key turnovers and ridiculous costly penalties. And maybe most importantly, that game was played in the comfy confines of a dome. So again, this thing plays right into Philly's hands being at the Link. Oh yeah, in case you needed a little bit more positive vibes, the Eagles are 6-0 all-time at home in the divisional round. Let me make this clear though, I'm not overlooking the Rams, nor am I saying it's going to be a cakewalk. It's just that when it comes to doing whatever it takes to win, this team's different.
You guys need to understand that I don't play the game for anything other than to win. And my role in each game will be different. And the approach in each game is different. And, you just want to go out there and do your job and take advantage of opportunities, obviously, and I think some things are magnified a little bit more because there's less opportunity in certain areas. But ultimately, it's about winning the game. You know, we're talking about playoff football.
That's literally all he does is win. And we got some more good news that the finger injury Hurts had been dealing with is 100%, so no longer an issue. Still, the critics and haters never stop, with the facility's clown and Chase Daniels saying he's worried the Rams will score a lot of points, and that if Philly gets behind, will they be able to throw their way back into it, citing that Jalen can't be trusted to throw when the game's on the line. Now, yeah, we've had our moments of a little bit of anxiety, but I think Jalen's proven in those crucial moments that he can deliver and get the team points. Seriously, again, I will continue to say it. I'm not worried about it. This just feels like, one of the national media comments. You flip-flop your thoughts back and forth, hypocritical stances, because, people are going to freak out about it.
But this wins as a QB stat crowd needs to get out of here because Jalen did not play up to his standard.
One day later.
I actually think he's playing extremely well for the stuff that they're asking him to do.
Hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Right, I'm not buying into it at all. Although something that could be a legitimate distraction is Kellen Moore and all the interview requests he's getting. As Adam Schefter reported that the Dallas Cowboys officially requested to interview the Eagles OC, which is not that surprising, but the negative part is the interview is this weekend.
No, don't like that.
Yeah, like that's also not his only one either. Since Albert Breer then added to it saying Kellen will be interviewing with the Jaguars Friday along with the Cowboys. And then as if that wasn't enough, the New Orleans Saints are having him interview on Saturday. Look, I understand this whole process. Yes, it happens every year, but I just absolutely hate the idea that the NFL has, you got teams in the playoffs trying to scheme, prep for the big game, trying to make it to the big game, and yet we can't wait to hold these interviews till later. I know, I understand. We were there last season. Hey, let's go ahead and start interviewing players because we were knocked out early. It just seems like a totally ridiculous process. I still think the Eagles will win on Sunday, but is this at least a little bit concerning to you guys? Obviously, the long-term ramifications hurt too, since you've got most of the hottest candidates getting interviews right now. So if Philly was to lose Kellen after the playoffs, we're kind of behind the 8 ball. Still though, it's not like he couldn't say just talk to me after the season's over. Because FYI, according to Mike Florio, Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury's told teams he won't interview with them until the Commies season is over. And yeah, I'd feel better if Kellen did that too. Yet again, I understand that's the nature of these things. Now, it's a fair point that Anthony DeBona brought up that technically Kliff Kingsbury is still being paid by the Cardinals through 2026. So he probably doesn't feel as much pressure to go seeking head coaching jobs yet. I just wanted to mention it though, because it's not like the precedent hasn't been set to do something like that. But you're right, that's business for a completely other day. This team has everything in front of it. One thing that some believe does impact the game this weekend, though, are the refs, with Sean Smith getting the nod as the head referee for the Birds game. Remember, he is the one who ejected C.J. Gardner-Johnson against Washington for 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, including C.J. getting the penalty here instead of the Washington Commies player, with Smith saying C.J. was taunting, so we threw him out. Now, I know everyone will point out that Smith just so happens to be the same official that didn't call the penalty on Jadeveon Clowney's cheap shot to Carson Wentz, and if you do some quick research, you can find out that he's from Southfield, Michigan. So, yeah, could be a Detroit Lions fan. There's no denying he's missed some pretty egregious calls, but I don't think I can completely buy into the conspiracy theories about the game script and everything else. But you guys let me know your thoughts. Does any of this concern you? Thoughts on playing playoff Stafford in this matchup here and all the other takeaways? Also, do me a favor, drop a like and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're almost 2,000 subscribers away from getting to 100,000 subs. It's ridiculous. We're almost there. Very much appreciated. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.